Hey guys, Miss Osuna here, showing you how to do your double welt pocket. So grab your supplies for your double welt pocket and let's get started. First up, let's talk pattern pieces for the double welt pocket. So we're gonna put this on our jacket. This is quote unquote our jacket. You can put a double welt pocket on pants, on skirts, you can put it on anything that you really want to, but for our case, we're gonna call this a jacket. But I have two pieces and you see one of them is red because it's for interfacing, the other is self fabric. Typically you wanna fuse the piece that you're putting your actual double welt pocket onto. So when you fuse it, basically the interfacing gets ironed to the self fabric. Self fabric pattern piece is written in black, interfacing pattern piece written in red. So we're gonna fuse that and it'll become one. Take note of these two drill holes. They are circled because that is where we are going to be placing the welt when we sew. So those are our two pattern pieces. This is my interfacing and this is my fabric. So we're gonna iron them together. The word for that is fuse. And when we iron them together, the interfacing with the glue side is facing the wrong side of my fabric. And so that the right side of my fabric shows, and here is the side of the interfacing that does not have the glue. The glue side has to face your self fabric on the wrong side so that you can glue it together. And our quote unquote glue is done with the iron. So that's why we fuse these two pieces together. This is the self fabric, that's my interfacing. There's no glue here because the glue is there. Going ahead and let's fuse these pieces together. Make sure your iron is nice and hot and that you do have a towel underneath to capture that steam so that it fuses well. Okay, here is my fabric. This is the right side, this is the wrong side. So I'm just gonna press it before we even start. All right, so I've pressed the wrong side of my fabric to get it warm. This is my interfacing. This side here is the correct side that does not have any glue. And this is the glue side. So the glue side goes face down and we're gonna press. I'm gonna start by just tapping it just a little bit, just to get it in place. All right, so now that I have it in place, just gonna steam it. I'm gonna flip it over. You can see that little bit here that is the glue. I'm not gonna press there because it's stretched. And it does tend to do that a little bit. So don't press there because that will get onto your iron. I'll cut that off. So this is my right side of my fabric now. That's the wrong side of my fabric, and this is the interfacing. There is no glue here. So now you are ready to move forward. Your next step is going to be to overlock the outer edges because for our pocket, this is gonna go into our little small portfolio of sample pieces. So we're gonna overlock this just so that it looks beautiful when we sew on our double welt pocket. All right, so let's go on and overlock our piece. You place your fabric that is fused right against the presser foot. Step on the pedal. Remember, we don't want to cut, we're just having little shavings because we're cleaning that edge with our chain stitch from the overlock. Now that you're done, remember you keep sewing at the same speed. So keep stepping on that pedal because you need this tail, and then you'll cut once the tail reaches the edge of your plate. All right, we're gonna do the next side. So you cut your tail of your chain. And we start again. Again, it has to be a tail that is left behind. Otherwise, the chain stitch will go down in the machine and the machine will get stuck. And when the machine gets stuck and is down in the sewing room, that means everybody can't use it and it throws off the deadline. So we don't want that to happen. And then we throw our thread on the floor and sweep up at the end of our session. Because if you leave it on your table, it'll get stuck on your pieces. Okay, so now you've overlocked it and it's ready for you to be able now to sew your double welt pocket onto. I would say even press it one more time just to get those overlock threads nice and smooth. All right, so let's press this. We've overlocked it. It was a little wrinkled at those edges. We're just gonna stretch. You wanna remember that everything you do when you are sewing is cumulative. So if you don't do this step, those little tiny wrinkles don't come out. So you're just gonna stretch it a little bit and press. And that's because we set our tension on our overlock threads at one specific setting. And we don't change those tension settings. So sometimes, based on your fabric, if it's a little heavier or a little lighter, the threads at the overlock will pull. So you wanna block your fabric, which is just stretching it out, making sure you have that perfect rectangle shape. It's not a lot of a stretch, just a little bit. And then press before you move on so that you don't keep those wrinkles in place. Got to get rid of those. And those are just a few little wrinkles right at the overlocked threads. So you just stretch your fabric a little bit, press, and then it'll lay flat. Do that before you proceed to the next step. All right, so now that we have gotten rid of those wrinkles, it's time for us to prepare our welts. All right, so let's move on to the next video where we start with our welt preparation. See you there.